Marcus. Okay, it's the drama ministry, the Storytellers ministry. We going live. And y'all know it's not just me up here. Hey, y'all, we got all the people here. Listen, our whole crew is here. I know y'all ready for them. What's up, Marcus? How you doing?
Hey, there you are. How you doing, Emma? I'm doing very well. All things considered, it's some craziness going on in our industry right now, which we're going to talk about. But God is good and blessing me, so I'm feeling good and
Amen.
excited to talk with the people. Hello, y'all, from the north, the south, the east, and the west. Tune on in. You know, we always have a good conversation. Share this with somebody. Tell them we on. I promise you there'll be something that you'll be interested in hearing about today.
Yes, yes. Listen, let us know where you all are from. Let us know where you're from. Let us know where you're from. Next up, we got our sister Crystal. Hey, girl.
So happy to be here yet another Monday.
Listen, we are here. What's up, Justin? How are you?
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Hill City family? I'm happy to be here as well. I can't wait to talk about what we're getting ready to talk about.
Listen, this conversation is gonna be great. Okay, and then we got our sister Lavana. You there, Lavana? Hey, girl.
Hey, girl, hey, everybody.
Fine.
Woo, y'all.
Up?
Listen, what has been, I don't know if you all know that there is a strike happening in our industry, in the acting industry. It started with the writers about a month and so ago. And then it started with the union actors who are part of Sag-Aftra. I be messing that up all the time. And it's affecting union members, and it's affecting non-union members as well. And on this call, we have people who are union and non-union. And I was actually I went and got my nails done, and I was just, generally talking to my person, and she didn't know it was happening. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, is my favorite show not gonna come on anymore?" I said, "It might not." And it's like, that's how it's affecting you as our Hill City family, as our general public, as people who might not be in the industry just yet. Listen, your favorite show might not be on this fall, okay? Because of what is happening. Oh my gosh, Marcus, what's going on? What are your thoughts?
I have so many thoughts, but I thought it was important for us to do this conversation because a couple of reasons. One is that, I've had a lot of people asking me, they know that I'm an actor, even some Hill City family members wanting to know, if I'm okay and how they can sort of pray and be supportive. And so we wanted to do this to give you all of the facts and figures so you know how to pray and what's at stake. But, you mentioned even though it's a union strike, it affects non-union members. And as you start digging into this thing, I think you all will see that the effects are way farther stretching than you think, especially in places where there's like a big entertainment industry that is LA, of course, but not just LA. That's New York, that's Georgia, that's New Mexico, all of these places that have entertainment as a big part of their industry. All of the different, not just the actors, but the people that work with the actors and the businesses that thrive, catering companies, advertising, print companies, like any number of companies that work to supply and work to support everything that's going on.
Yeah. Crystal, what are your initial thoughts before we kind of hop into some deep stuff, girl?
Yeah, I mean, just my initial thoughts were, well, here we go. I mean, because I know that this is something that, as Marcus just said, doesn't just affect just actors. You have productions that have 100 plus crew members. That's the livelihood of multiple families. You think about just how many people it takes just to create one episode of a show. And we're not even talking about a movie, just a show. How many families are in that room connected to those people? It's affecting all those people. So I'm here for the ride. I'm interested to see how long it's going to go and where it's going to take us.
Justin, what are your thoughts, especially having a theater background and we are able to still do theater
Yeah,
or
yeah.
some types of theater? What, like,
No,
what are your thoughts?
absolutely. I was just gonna say, even the theater world is being affected because there are SAG members who get into theater productions to push the production forward, and especially me being a theater director, sometimes I do have SAG members who are in my production so that you can get seats, get tickets sold because of this named actor. But I'm not a SAG union actor, but I'm non-union. But a lot of work that I do is SAG work. So a lot of those shows that I was up for or rehearsing for is not happening. Also, I was in the process of moving toward being in the writers guild, trying to move toward that, and then it's just like, well, that's not an option anymore. So it's about even the potential ones, even the people that are like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. So it stops that. But like all of you guys are saying, the crews, the catering companies, the printing organizations, all these companies are affected, and the consumer, and the consumer is affected as
Yeah.
well.
They are. Lavana, any initial thoughts before we kind of hop into some of these topics that we have? Also, if you could actually kind of refresh, somebody said, what are we striking on? Kind of refresh the room real bit.
Whew. Well, it's very important, and to be fair, there's a lot of actors working. Not only are actors on strike, but the Writers Guild is on strike as well. They have been on strike for a couple of months, right? There are working actors that have been working for years and years and years that don't qualify for medical. There's a whole slew of things. Me myself, I'm not union. I've kind of held out on being union for a while because of the competitive nature. Like, I wanted to build my resume coming from theater, now just kind of entering into television and film. But I stand with my brothers and sisters because that is the ultimate goal. Like, for me, it's a competitive. The things that I was holding out on now is like, it's not even qualifying. Like, I wouldn't qualify for probably medical insurance if I'm not that top tier. I would be competing with what I would never compare myself to, the Queen, Angela Bassett. Those are the type of people that I would be, like Nia Long or Halle Berry, like those union workers. Like, okay, I don't have a resume like that. So that was my goal, was to try to build my resume. Obviously, got to get some work. So, it's just standing, things being fair. There's just a whole bunch of, and as we go on, you'll see there's more to it. There's the AI aspect, there's the insurance aspect. It's the the streaming, the big companies, people doing work that was made for network television that aren't getting paid what they should be getting paid because of the big streaming companies. So it's a lot to unfold, and I think that everyone needs to get what they deserve. It needs
Yeah.
to be fair.
I think we should jump in to our intro video. But before we do that, in our Hill City Church, we're all about prayer. This is something that you can be praying on for all of the industry to return to work, for negotiations to go fairly. But right now, I just pray right now, God, that you meet us in this room for this conversation. We just thank you, God, in advance that someone will be edified by what we offer, God. We thank you that Hill City Ministry will just draw more people to the good work that we are doing through this conversation, God. We just ask that you bless each and every person affected by this work stoppage, Lord God, and we just pray that your will be done in all things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
And I think let's roll that intro video because I think that will let you know.
Yes.
Sag-Aftra, the union representing 160,000 television and film actors, will go on strike starting at midnight after 4 weeks of failed negotiation.
You share the wealth because you cannot exist without us. Thank you.
The announcement came this afternoon. Actors union SAG-AFTRA will officially strike at midnight tonight. Already actors are leaving sets and even premieres, and many more will be on picket lines starting tomorrow. Union President Fran Drescher.
The entire business model has been changed by streaming, digital, AI. This is a moment of history that is a moment of truth. If we don't stand tall right now, we are all going to be in trouble.
Among the unresolved issues, demands for higher wages, an increase in residuals as streaming services command more of the market, and new protections from the use of artificial intelligence. For its part, the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, representing traditional studios such as Universal, Paramount, and Disney, along with newer tech giants like Apple, Netflix, and Amazon, blamed the union for walking away from major concessions, saying in a statement, "The union has regrettably chosen a path that will lead to financial hardship for countless thousands of people who depend on the industry." The move all but grinds Hollywood to a halt, as actors now join the Writers Guild, whose members have been without a contract and on strike since May over similar issues. This is the first time both unions have been on strike since 1960, when actor and future President Ronald Reagan headed up the Actors Guild.
People are very concerned across the industry about what it means for livelihoods, not just of actors and writers who are on strike, but all the other workers who, the crafts people, hairdressers, makeup artists, costumers, thousands of people that work on film and TV that will have their work stopped and their pay stopped across, many big filming hubs across the US. It's not just Southern California and Los Angeles, but New York, New Mexico, Georgia, for example, have huge film industries. Back in 2007-8, it came to about $2.1 billion at the time. It was the estimated cost for Southern California and the local economy there. But, experts have been estimating that this time the fallout could exceed, $3 billion.
Oh, I was on mute. You have to hurt these people like in their pockets. Sadly, we as actors, and they said hairstylists, makeup artists, PAs, grips, directors, we want just a piece of the pie that is being given. These streaming networks and CEOs are making millions and billions of dollars every year, but we over here got 10 roommates in Los Angeles. Like, dang, like, can we get a little bit something when we do book, when we bless the book. But like, man, what are y'all thoughts? Anybody want to jump in and just kind of talk about what we just saw?
Well, I think to me, as I look at it more and more, and this was really helpful, even as I've been out on the picket line and talking to different actors and writers and doing this research, kind of clarified to me on another level, like what was really at stake. And it's kind of like three major things. It's like we always have inflation, right? And it's actors being able to maintain health insurance and maintain sort of regular livelihood, because the fact of the matter is that, most of us, the 160,000 members of SAG, are not the millionaires that we think of when we think of Hollywood. So it's just sort of that basic health insurance and basic living needs. I think the second big issue is looking at the changing landscape of the industry. So, which has a lot to do with these streaming services. So I feel like locking in more on that is something we can talk about. And then the third major component is the AI, and that was the one that I honestly, at the beginning, almost just, artificial intelligence the fact that that's coming in and sort of having a major impact on what might become of the industry. Like I thought that was more science fiction or something for way down the road, but I'm learning that it is much more present, an issue than I thought. So to me, those are the major three talking points. So I thought it would be good if we sort of maybe commented on that aspect first, the sort of health insurance and the what does it really mean to be a working actor, and whether it is what it is and what it isn't, to start with, and then we can maybe jump into the other two subject matters.
I feel disrespected with the AI, okay? I mean, for me, because a lot of people got their start working in background. And I think that's probably the first level of people that could get washed out with AI. Maybe people who don't have speaking roles. We had Paul Archer on a couple months ago who said he got his start working on what was it, Friday Night Lights. He was a regular, and then he was able to have a reel. So those actors, those football players that never speak, they could just not have to use real blood, sweat, and tears in there. Real people is what I'm saying. And so that right there, I just saw a video of a whole short film that was on Twitter that it was all IG. I don't think it's natural, but the way these technologies are getting better and better and better, it's like they almost kind of threatening, like, oh, y'all don't want to work, y'all want to strike, okay, we're going to replace y'all with this. It's like, I don't ever think that it's going to have the emotions of real people. But like I say, technology now is on a whole nother level. And it's like, you ain't got to pay the people. Even people not in the industry are using artificial intelligence. I just had a friend that is not in entertainment, but I'm like, told me that they use this for their job. Why? Like, I don't even understand. Like, what? It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, I said we were gonna save that one for the end, but we'll
let's say that AI first.
Okay, let's jump in. This is what the people want to talk about. Lavana want to jump in on the AI. Let's talk about the AI then, just so people are understanding. We understand it's artificial intelligence, and the writers are upset about it, as well as the actors. What Lavana was just talking about is the fact that, you see maybe these big scenes or a crowd scene or a stadium. This is where right now the AI, artificial intelligence, has already been applied. You used to actually have to hire real bodies to stand or sit in these stadium seats and, jump up and cheer or do whatever to add to that scene. But now, through computer-generated functions, they're able to just place people in there. And so that's fewer actors, fewer background actors that they have to pay. That's a very viable way for some people to make a living. Even there's people that don't necessarily you haven't seen them doing speaking roles on a TV series or film, but they're making a living by day after day finding different projects to go do background on. And now we're like, thank you, we don't need you. We got a computer generated version of you. And that's the other thing, like this talk of maybe taking actors and having them digitized, so these are just not like fictitious characters. They may be asking you to go down and, get yourself digitized. So when you're seeing these background actors, these are real people who are being paid something, we don't know what, possibly.
Get one day rate for your thing, and they using your digitized for 20 days.
Right. We work one day, but you work all these other days. So that's what it is for the actors, and for the writers. You've got computer programs that can write whole scripts now.
Yep. The whole Chat GPT craze right now. Like, not even just with writing, you know, scripts. It's hitting the music industry too. You can just literally go write a song, have it write a song for you, and boom, nobody did any work. You can literally tell that thing to write out a report. Like, I even think about our kids that are in school, how it's going to affect them creatively, and how they won't have to try so hard anymore because there's something, this computer generated software that's like, I'll do it for you. So it's AI is, I don't want to say, I don't want to call it that negative, but it's something that will literally change the course of a creative's career, literally.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think about it? My dad, my dad. I'm gonna tell my dad right now. he gave a speech the other day, and he he used the chat GPTs, like he had to give a certain type of speech.
Yes,
And
Daddy.
it was his motive. He rewrote it, but the first draft of his speech, he said, like, write me a motivational speech for such and such and such. And and the speech was pretty good.
I believe it.
So if you, to play devil's advocate, we're all on the artist side, right? So for us, like, it's like kind of offensive, but let me ask you guys this. How do you actually make the argument to a company who is seeing, like, wow, I usually pay a speech writer, let's just say $2,000 to write a speech. Chat GPT just did it in 5 minutes, and I didn't have to pay it nothing. Maybe I hire a writer to, rewrite it and sort of tweak it for $500. Because it's already done. It's a savings of $1,500 to me, Mr. Producer Man. How do we actually make the argument to say this is wrong or it shouldn't work that way when it could very well mean, big savings for them? Anybody? How do we argue that?
It's really go ahead, Justin.
Oh no. Oh yeah. I was just saying, like, to Marcus' point, that was the point that I initially wanted to make, to kind of play like that, both sides of it. Because for me, I think about it when I think about, like, digital versus film. There are people, when digital came out, they were like, oh, it's changing, and we don't like this or whatever. But as the maybe the director or the producer is like, well, I can do more. I can spend less money because I don't have to keep buying these rolls of film. I can just slide it right into my software, my hardware. So I think, but to make the argument for me against it, the thing for me is just what LaVonna was saying. It's going to take away the emotion, and it's also going to still require you to do some work. And also, when you are an actor or anything in that field of creativity, like, that is not just, well, for most of us, it's not just something that you want to do. It's something that you have a desire to do. So then it's taking away, just like Crystal was saying, it's like, now what is the children's generation going to look like when they can just say, write me a song, write me a script, write me a play, write me a this, and they don't have to use any of their creativity. And we all know, as performers, as actors, or whatever we do in the industry, that even if you don't desire to be a performer, taking an acting class or a dance class or a music class, it can actually, be therapeutic. It can offset certain behavioral problems. So then when you take that out, think about when, schools a few years back started taking out different things, like in the performing arts realm in different schools. And then the behavior of, and I work in the school, field, but the behavior issues started increasing. So then they started trying to put all these programs back in because they understand that the outlet, is helpful. So I think it can and probably will do more damage. And sometimes trying to cut corners to save money is not necessarily the best thing. But yeah, I think that it could just be damaging to the creative mind, and the creative mind to me is the start of everything.
Yeah, Lavana, you were about to say something, I think, regarding what Marcus was saying about what Laura, I didn't blanked on it. How do we feel about
I
AI?
know. I think Justin wrapped it up really, really, really well. The creative mind. I don't really know an argument. I just know that I guess I'm biased because of being that creative, and like I said, I'm non-union, but I have worked on union shows. And so I'm SAG eligible. But I've tried to avoid it as long as I possibly can. And some people become union. Some people are almost kind of like forced. Some people really want to get those vouchers when they work on union shows. So everybody's on a different level of how they got their SAG card. But one of the shows that I did work on was Barry, if you guys are familiar, which is an HBO show, where there's a hitman who was to go kill someone, and he had to tell this person who was at an acting class. So he went to scope this person out and actually fell in love with acting. So anyway, there was one particular, I was on that set for a couple days, and there was one particular scene where there was an award show and there were live people, and we were all in the audience of this award show. So it's kind of like they didn't really have to have us, and how the way that they're trying to go is almost like, oh, we can do away with paying those people. We got paid really good for 2 days, but it's like, oh, that was something I needed and something that is on my credits. But I don't know the argument, but it's almost kind of like the streaming aspect. I love streaming. I love to watch stuff, but it's like I don't like, it's how actors are not getting what they deserve from those companies. Like, this is okay, they did this work, this is for network television, and now that Netflix or some company picked up this particular thing, they're not getting residuals, they're not getting paid a dime for any of that. And so it's like, oh wow, I love to stream and watch this stuff, but I don't like this part of it. You know what I mean? So I guess I'm on that fence of AI as well. And how to fix the problem, I'm just trying to figure it out. I just think I'm a little small person in this pond that we all just trying to ask God, Lord, fix it.
Well,
Yes.
while we figure it out, that's the writers especially are asking for certain protections, basically asking the industry to say, for whatever reason, that they're arguing that they won't use it. And I think we have the AI video. I think maybe this is a good time to just share that one too, and that'll kind of like square off, at least from the writer's point. This is more on the point of the writers, but you can take what you learn there and it applies right over to the actors as well.
Writers aim in trying to carve out these stipulations. They're afraid that producers are going to look for excuses to pay them less. They're afraid that they're going to hire AI to write scripts. And very simply put, it's about them protecting their jobs and protecting their wages. They've asked for more money, but sort of ironically, this clause in what they're asking for doesn't actually cost executives anything now. They just want a guarantee that studios won't hire AI instead of writers.
Are the studios pushing back on this AI thing?
Studio executives have been outspoken and come right out and said they believe that we'll have the first AI-generated script within a year. So that's why there are 3 protections that writers want in place. They don't want AI to be used to write or rewrite any scripts. Mm-hmm. They don't want to have to rewrite what some of them call trash generated by AI. Yeah. And they don't want studios to be able to train AI on their work. So they don't want studios to give AI a prompt, say, write a script in the style of this very successful
Seinfeld.
Hollywood writer, which AI has shown it has the capability to do.
Yeah, so far not very good though, but you never know what the future holds.
One WGA member said she feels as if writers are being erased out of the industry, and so studios are looking looking to cut costs wherever they can, including by bringing in AI. And writers have said, look, if we want to work with AI, if we want AI to assist in starting, in generating ideas, that should be up to us, not to you. So it's really about protecting their earnings and putting protections in place. But the studios, what they're saying instead is they don't want to make any kinds of guarantees because they're bullish about this technology. And their response was essentially, we're not going to guarantee that we won't use AI, but we'll let you know how it goes, how it's going in these annual meetings. We'll update you on its progress.
Listen, what AI, like there are so many examples of AI going wrong already. First off, if real human being writers already get scripts wrong, especially when it comes to different cultures, and that particular culture is on set and be like, well, Black people don't talk like this, or people from Indian descent don't say this, or people from Hispanic and Latino descent don't act like this. Like, what you think AI gonna do? They definitely gonna be stereotyping up in the AI script. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy. That's how I feel about that.
Well, I agree. I mean, I'm sure. Like, I hadn't even really thought about cultural nuance. I doubt the computer is gonna master that anytime soon. But for me, listening to that video, the one thing that I wanted to underline is the fact that what the AI actually does is takes what some writer has already done, or a whole bunch of writers have already done. It's devouring, basically ingesting all this stuff and, just basically figuring out how to repeat it back. So it's actually it's powered by work that humans have done all through the generations. So it's sort of taken all of what we've done up to this point and being like, oh, we get it now. And now you got booted up based on the labor of the humans, but now it's like, okay, we can take it from there. We don't need you humans anymore. You taught us how to do it. And so now, so is it even really original work, or it's just little piece of this, a little piece of that, a little piece of that, put together enough different pieces to where now it appears to be something original, but it is not. It's all stolen from, what some human has done in the past.
Yeah.
I was going to say one thing that really stuck out to me about this video is kind of going off what Marcus said. It said that it will take the style of someone. It'll say, write a script in the vein of Marcus. But the issue that I have with that is the issue that I was having with the earlier one. But if you are using my likeness, then I still deserve some of that residual. I still deserve some of that. And the same thing with them photocopying me, like, okay, yeah, photocopy me, but pay me for all 20 days that you're going to use me. Don't just photocopy me once and say, and I think maybe my thing is like, as the world changes, maybe let's say let's try to change with it. Okay, so like, okay, well, they're gonna use this AI. Let's just say they say, forget it, we're gonna do it. Okay, so now make the negotiation of, okay, well, if they send you the contract and say, Emma, we're gonna digitize you, and we're only gonna you only get paid for this, like in the clause it says you only get paid for this one time, then you fight that negotiation and say no. If I see, like, for example, if we see a movie, we know, like, Tyler Perry did that. Oh, this person did, because we can see their signature in the movie. So if I start to recognize my signature in this script, I'm gonna go back to my contract and say, excuse me, that's usually what I do. Like, I need, I don't know. That's in any case, it's nothing to do. I think, like, how can we just say, like, well, let me still get a piece of my pie? You know what I mean? But it's wild to me.
seems like that'd be something very hard to, it becomes very difficult to sort of prove that with any sort of, plagiarism work. I mean, and that just makes it even harder. But I would say, like, to me, if you're watching and, every time we go to the supermarket, essentially, and, do the self-checkout lane, it's kind of a version of that, in that, we figured out how to have a machine sort of save us some money, take away a job, do something a human used to do. And I feel like the only way to really run maybe self-checkout lanes out of a store would be for people to refuse to use them. So I guess I would say, do you think the public would be willing to refuse to, watch something or consume the content if they knew it was generated by AI or that it had AI actors in it? What do you guys think?
I think if we get to, hopefully we don't get to that point. I mean, we're already seeing AI in the background of some movies, and it's just kind of like, oh my God, I can't remember what movie I was watching, and I was like, these are totally fake people cheering in the audience. It was so horrible. It was like a cartoon in a real movie. I said, wow, we have to do better. But of course, but things get better over time. But I think if we see, like, okay, these people are not real, and the actor, if it's not in your contract to say that you can't speak out about it, if the actor is like, hey guys, they cloned me, they cloned me, and now my actor is, my body is in this 4-part series on Netflix. And it's just kind of like, but I only got paid for one day's work or one episode or whatever. And I think if that actress is like, don't watch it, then we would. But if we don't know, or if the general population doesn't know, then I think they probably are still going to watch it. But I think our community of actors and entertainment, we would have to really speak out about it. But I do want to note something. Somebody said in the comments, Renee said, makes me want to stop streaming shows to fight for you all. And I put it in there myself. I said, I'm not going to type on behalf of Hill City, but the actress Rutina Wesley, if anybody watches Queen Sugar, she made a post on her personal Instagram talking about how actually canceling might not help, because they might go back and be like, oh, well, nobody's watching Netflix anyway, so we might as well clone you or, AI you. So definitely check that out in your own time when you get a chance. But yeah, that's definitely my thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear, like, I would like more people to comment on the idea, like, if it was a show, in the comments, if something was, and you knew, they let you know this is written by artificial intelligence, would you, or acted by artificial intelligence? And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that it was entertaining. Because it's easy to say no if it was bad. But let's just say it's an entertaining show, but that it was generated by artificial intelligence. Would you be up to watch it, or would that give you hesitation? I'm curious.
But watching animation, so is that?
Well, that's art. I mean, that's people, real voices, real artists that are making these things.
This is true. Okay, yeah. Good. Okay.
Yeah. But let's go to that video, because I want to get back to that point about just like, who are these actors out here? And it's not necessarily what you think. And I think that Michelle Hurd video really speaks to, who's out there, like 160,000 actors, but you don't know the names of, but probably, like they say, 1% or less of those people.
Yeah. Oh, let's play.
And those actors that you go, oh, there's that guy on that show. You may not necessarily know their names. You may see me on the show. You may not know my name, but you've seen me on a lot of things. Those actors are working class actors. We're literally working paycheck to paycheck. It takes $26,000 to qualify for your life health insurance for Sag-Aftra. A guest star on a show, producers will do top of show. This is a verbiage that they created. It's not in our contracts, it's what they created. So they're not going to budge above whatever their top of show is. Top of show generally could be anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 or 8,000 an episode. Maybe that sounds great. So say I cobble together 2 or 3 guest stars in during this a year. People, our audiences sees me on 3 or 4 different shows, and they're like, wow, that actress is working, she's doing all this stuff. I still, by doing that with Top of Show, I have still not qualified for my health insurance. We literally are going paycheck to paycheck. Back in the day, we used to have quotes that once you've been working for a certain amount of time, you're working really hard to get your quote up, to get your salary up. They decided to get rid of that, so they no longer acknowledge or respect that. This industry is one of the few industries that seniority, that being in this industry for a long time, that gathering up an amazing resume doesn't mean anything to them. They literally, yes, there is some very wealthy actors, absolutely. There's 160,000 members in our union, 160,000. 1% are the top grossers, 1%. And of that, maybe 2% are the ones that literally support and uplift our union. And 98% of those people are below the line, are struggling to make a living in an industry that we all know is making billions. I think about this all the time. We talk about this in our caucuses. Back in the day, we used to talk about millions. Everybody wanted to make millions, and oh, wouldn't that be amazing? These people are making billions, and yet they don't have money to give us just a scooch more.
Ooh, honey, she said it. What y'all been waiting for was all that video right there.
That was it. You want to know what the strike is about? She summed it up. That's it right there. Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Billions.
They said. There's actually a very interesting question which I would love to ask. Someone, Della, said, would you guys say that you're in the same situation that Monique was in years ago? And I'm assuming they are referring to when Monique was not getting paid her worth for her comedy specials. So, which is actually kind of interesting. Comedy is a part of entertainment. They also get paid on a whole different pay scale. So I don't it's similar, but I don't think it is. But would anybody want to talk about that?
What was the question?
I'll take the question.
I think I'm leaning more towards no, but
yeah. She said, would you all say that we're in the same situation that Monique is in? Just a super quick question that I saw. And I would probably say no, because Monique is her own entity. We know who she is. She is worth her dollar amount. And she can say, hey, baby, I need 135 million, Us, on the other hand, as Michelle Hurt was just talking about, how it's 160,000 actors who are in SAG, so many more who are not. I'm not SAG, who are not in the union, and you don't know their names. You only know about 1,600 people. Out of that, you probably only know 50. Okay, so it's just kind of like all of those other 160,000. We can't say, hey, Netflix, give us $1 million for our project. We can only, try to fight to get what our minimum wages and what our daily wages are worth. So I would say no, but it's good that you're thinking about that. And that's something that you can kind of relate to when it comes to an artist trying to get their worth. So in that aspect, yes, us as artists, we are trying to get our worth.
Yeah, I think the similarity is the thinking, the mindset that sort of had Monique devalued is the same mindset, it's coming from the heads of these studios that, are doing the same thing to the everyday actor. There was another video, I don't think, that was making some of the same points that Michelle just made, but there was an actor on there that said he did a low budget series and then the series went to Netflix. And so now, no one ever necessarily expected that it was going to, this series that he shot was going to get such a large platform. But now millions of people are watching it. And because of the way that Netflix is set up as a streaming service, he didn't end up getting any residuals off of that. And when we talk about residuals, we're talking about payment after you get paid the day you go down the set and work. Yes. But as we know, once something is created, it can go to cable, it can go to pay-per-view, it can go to streaming, it might come on late night on TV, and people are consuming this over and over again. Even though you did the work a year ago, should I not get something when it's replayed? And I say that because when it's replayed, understand that whatever platform is replaying it, if it's on a network, they're selling advertising, they're selling commercial time. So they're making money. They're not just showing it just to have something on the air. They're showing it because that is allowing them to get advertising dollars that funnels their whole network. For the streamers like Netflix, Hulu, it's allowing them to sell more subscriptions because it's basically like, and sometimes commercials too. It used to be that there were no commercials in streaming, but now they even have commercials in there. So, they're making money off of this movie or TV show, even though it's years old. So why should the actor stop making money? And that's why we have residuals, which are great. I can testify to that. Residuals is a blessing to me. Like, just to go to your mailbox, open the mailbox, and you're getting a check for something you did 3 years ago. I'm constantly just giving God praise for the miracle of that. But it is frequently the only money that I see come in a month because, it's hard to book a job. There's so much competition. And as Michelle pointed out, if you do like 3 or 4 TV appearances in a year, you're doing really, really good. That's considered like, I guess I'm in the top 2%. I never would have thought of myself in the top 2% of actors because most years am able to qualify for health insurance.
On, Marcus.
But the bulk of that every year is from my residuals. It's the work that I already done did years ago. And if but when that show goes on to Netflix or these streaming services, if you got to think about it, like they're trying to act like they're not where everybody is consuming their content, and it is.
Yeah.
They're trying to act like a little guy. Netflix and Hulu, because they were sort of, not the mainstream media when they started, they're still trying to act like, oh, we're
a little streaming service. It's like everybody has Netflix when you walk into their house. Stop playing. Okay.
Stop
Netflix overseas. It's Hulu overseas.
Yes.
It's like,
please stop playing.
Yeah.
And I have a little inside from before the actor strike, the writer's strike. I might get in trouble for saying that. Anyway, Netflix was the holdup. Netflix was the reason why the strike was still continuing on. So they not no little guys. Come on now, stop playing.
Yeah. And then the other part of it, like, they don't want to pay residuals at the same level as the networks, and they should be, but it's kind of hard, and they don't want to pay more when something gets super viral. Like, if sometimes a show will hit Netflix and, a new generation's discovering it, it's trending at the top of their viewership. That means, millions and millions of people are watching it as opposed to just some little show that maybe a couple people catch. And there's no formula right now that rewards an actor for their piece of content going viral or trending at the top of Netflix's, viewership. There's no bonus for it going, big. And it should be.
Yeah.
It's
Ooh.
great that people, like one of the actors said in one of the videos, I don't think we showed that the show was picked up and millions and millions of people was able to see the show and know who he was and see his work. But the thing that needs to happen is things need to be renegotiated where people are taken care of. That's so keep streaming, but be fair and pay people because you're making so much money and they can afford to do it.
Let me just ask this, and I think we're wrapping up to the end of our time, but you got the info. Thank you. Adriana says good info. Glad you got it. We got the issues. Is there anybody, and I don't have an answer for this, so this and we didn't prep for this, so I'm just throwing it out there. Is there in your minds a spiritual aspect to this? We're talking about very practical things, but as you see it, like
Yeah.
I have one idea, but
I mean, one thing that comes to mind is the person. If you are someone who is spiritual and of God, and you were on a show and it didn't come back, and you're like, God, I thought this was my show, or you're literally filming and they're like, hey, we gotta stop, and you're like, God, so where's my paycheck coming from now? I think that as a person, that spiritual aspect of like that self-doubt coming in and that fear, and it's just like, what am I supposed to do right now? God, I really thought this was it, or this was it. I already mapped out what I'm spending all my bills on. I already mapped out my rest of the year for my rent. That's the first thing that came to my mind of just believers kind of sliding into this. God, what is going on? What are you doing? I thought this was my time. I thought this is my career, not even my time. This is my career. How am I going to go on? So I think it's definitely like banding together and making sure, like, hey, check on your strong friends, check on your actor friends, check on your writer friends, check on your producers, directors, and be like, you good? You okay? I got some spaghetti. You want to come over? Like, I think that part is definitely like us kind of banding together to keep our spirituality and our sanity together and not forget, like, hey, he's still going to take care of us. Like he said, the birds got something to eat, the flowers be out there. Why you worried? So it's like we have to not worry, but it's also very scary because a lot of people's work just got slipped right under them. So that was the first thing that came to my mind in the spiritual aspect.
Amen.
I was just going to keep it simple and say, pray about everything and worry about nothing. And I know that gets hard for people when you worry about how you going to eat or how you going to pay your rent. But I just say, I'm going to keep trusting God. I mean, he's providing so far. And just tell everybody to stay strong.
I piggyback on those sentiments. I mean, it's a faith walk. It's just like Emma was talking about, knowing that God has everything that we need. My mom was just talking about this earlier on their church, church's live, and it's just having that faith and that trust that, okay, I got to pivot with whatever is happening in my industry, but at the end of the day, my faith has to be intact to know God still got me. So it's a faith walk.
And I would just say, for me personally, I think everything starts spiritual first, and then it moves to the mind. So I think once we get those things lined up, then we can navigate this better. I was thinking about a scripture that says, the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. And not necessarily saying that these are wicked people, but the principality.
They
So we
are.
won't get into that on this live.
They
But the principality of it is dealing in wickedness. So I think that as believers, what we have to do is start to work the principle of it, and not just rely solely on prayer. Prayer is necessary, but the Bible also says faith without works. So we have to believe, and then we have to move on it. So we have to figure out, okay, I already prayed about it. Now, God, what do you want me to do? How do you want me to move? And now it should be the perfect time to fully and completely fall into God's hands, and fully, because I know there's sometimes I'm like, God, I'm gonna let you take the wheel half the way the trip, but I'm gonna need to navigate a little bit of this. But now I'm like, okay, I just decided, kind of like Lavana was saying, like, we're just like, oh yeah, maybe I'll do this SAG thing, maybe I'll do this Writers Guild thing. Boom. So now it's like, okay, God, well, what is it that you're saying? And I don't want to be selfish and say that this is all for me. But right now, I'm gonna say that this is all for me, because I want to take this principle for myself individually, and then how can I also like evangelize this to my fellow actors and fellow writers and fellow makeup artists and all these people that work in the industry as me. But I do feel like spirit, mind, and heart, you have to get that lined up.
Well, amen. So I didn't have to say nothing. The team said it all. They hit every point that I thought of, but I definitely had that principality thought. I definitely had that worry thought, and coming against that, God. I mean, God supports the arts. Jesus supports the arts. He created it. It's right and just. The gifts was given to us not for us to to be begging for bread, So I believe that a great and mighty testimony is going to come through for this, and I'm excited about just seeing how God's going to come through and make that deliverance. So I got no doubt. So yes, everybody out there, thank you for your prayers. Continue to pray for the industry, that we get back to work, and that the people just mentally, the mental aspect of it, of being thrown off your routine, or out of work. I think that's where the enemy really tries to attack, set up camp, like, oh, this you're finished. This is not gonna you going down, or whatever it is. But God says no. He's there to uplift us, and that's just pray for a mind of positivity, and just coming together. Like, there's so much good that I've already experienced in connecting with people and fellowshipping and feeling, people's dreams and good energy. It's kind of reignited me in many ways. So I'm taking those good things and running with them.
Yes. Oh man, this is such a great
Amen.
conversation. I always love coming on here with y'all. Okay, I might be running late, but I love y'all.
Love you too. Thank you for everybody for your time. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Please share this. Please watch, go back to the beginning. If you any questions about the strike and what it is, hey, you can share this video now. And I think we kind of covered the main points.
Yes, and
Yes,
if
I
anybody wants
think
to
it was
be
very informative. Well, we love you guys. Thank you.
make sure you email us if you would like to be a part of the Storytellers Drama Ministry. It is below, as well as in the chat, hillcitydramaministry@gmail.com. We meet every fourth Saturday.
Third.
Oh, Lord, I was right the first time. Go with your first instinct. Every third Saturday at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. That's where I got that 4 from. So we'll see y'all, and we'll be on here next every fourth Monday. Ah! All right, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.